It's so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, we don't have either of the other two.
The leadership stance that you take in your life, though, I think is directly correlated to the amount of love you have in your life.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the L3 Perspective. My name is Glenn Davis. I'm sitting here with my guy, Macias.
Kill it, Cam.
And guys, we want to welcome you back to the L3 Perspective. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, comment. We enjoy hearing all of that feedback from you guys. Cam, what's going on, brother? What are we talking about today?
What's good? So today, you guys, we're going to stroll down the conversation when it comes to getting into the rooms that you feel like you're supposed to be into. Glenn and I had a conversation before today, and we were talking about, a lot of people have great ideas. A lot of people have things they're trying to do, but maybe they don't feel as though they're moving as fast as they should, or they're not getting the support that they may think that they should. And realistically, it's because they're not putting themselves in the correct rooms, right? And that is, literal room and or hypothetical room or whatever. And so I thought today would be a really good conversation as far as how you're putting yourselves in places that you want to be in to get you to a place where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it's important to know number one where you want to go, but then the type of rooms that you need to be in order to get you to closer to get to that room.
Yeah.
Right? I think so one of the things as we were talking earlier, I was just like, I don't know that we think about that enough.
We don't.
We think about it, write down goals. We think about what we want to do, but we don't think about the connections that we need to make in order to get to that. Whether it's just having the mindset of wanting to or feeling like you need to do it on your own, but not understanding the value of the collaborations, right? The value of connecting with people, networking. And I know that there's a lot of books out there that often talk about, a lot of people have reached a level of success based off of not just from selling a specific product, but basically the networking piece.
Yeah.
So, and some of that happens inside the room.
Yeah. And that's and one of the things, people also trying to copy other people's rooms, and it's not that I'm a big pro. I say steal, but make it your own.
Yeah.
I'm big on that. It's okay to take kind of influences from other places, and it's okay to copy to a sense, but always make it your own. I think sometimes a lot of people can get wrapped up in books. They can get wrapped up in the social media stuff where they're just if I just follow this person's, blueprint, everything's going to work out. And in retrospect, that's not how life goes, because you don't know the same people that person knows.
Right.
You don't live in the same place that person lives. You don't have access to the same tables that person, or you may even have more access than that person did when they started out.
Right.
So it's so following a specific framework might actually hinder your progress because you almost turn a blind eye to what you already have available to you, right? I will say one of the things this past year that really helped me was I was really trying to do more leadership development, coaching and stuff on base, and all I thought about was I don't know how that's going to happen. They want the ADAs to do it, or they want these people to do it, or they want those people to do it. I'm the only guard guy on this base, so no one wants my opinion. And so I remember talking to a friend and mentor of mine. He said, contact the ADAs. I guarantee you. He said they always want help. They'll want to work with you. And I said, all right, cool. And lo and behold,
What's ADAs, by the way?
Airman Development Advisor. Okay. So the people on base, for those of you who aren't in the military, it's the people on base who help guide people for their careers and give them advice and stuff like that. And so when I went to them, they were like, "Oh, we'd love to have you." And so ever since then, I've done lunch and learns. I've been invited to do professional development with the airmen. We've done stuff, and it was all because that room that I put myself in. Right. But it was at the advice of somebody else who knew that room could open doors.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that because, when we talk about being in the rooms, or even when we look at like from a business aspect, right?
Yeah.
When you were looking at, man, like, why isn't my business growing, or why am I not achieving, certain things?
Yeah.
The question that we don't ask ourselves, from my experience,
Yeah.
enough is, who are we networking with, or who are we not networking with, or
Yeah.
are we networking with the right people, or are we networking with the wrong people?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's something that you need to, look at when it comes to measuring your life, or measuring your business, or measuring, you fill in the blank. But I think that that's something to look at, because if I am, as a parent, if I'm looking to be a better parent, if I'm looking to be a better husband or business owner or whatever the case is, something that I also need to be asking myself too is, are the rooms that I'm in or not in, do they align up with any of those things?
Yeah.
Right. Obviously we talk about growth a lot in different areas, but I think that that's important. And so the other day I had an opportunity to kind of, talk with someone, and that conversation, I was thinking about all that. Like, are you really placing yourself in the right rooms?
Yeah.
So that you have the opportunity to potentially make that connection with someone, right? That could potentially help you take your thing to the next level, or there could be a mutually beneficial relationship between the two of you. And that is just as important as you just writing down your goals. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's like, also, are you prepared to be in rooms too?
that, bro.
So that's
The preparation.
So the preparation, right? Because I think a lot of people feel as though I should be in this room, or I want to be in this room. I have the skills, whatever have you. But it's one of those things. Like, everybody has criticism until they're in that situation. So everybody wants to be in that room, but are you prepared to be in that room and have the conversations that are required to be in that room?
Yeah.
And so I think that's something, like, when we talk about like how me and Rico work together too. I think, when I first came on board, it was like, oh, okay. But then, like, once I showed that I should be in the room, that I could be in the room, now I'm in the room.
Yeah.
And that's something that is also undervalued. Like, it's kind of like that whole, like, societal thing in the West now, as far as like, oh, I want to be, so I should be allowed to be.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You've got to be there for a reason, and you need to be prepared to be there, because think of it like a job interview almost. The first time you show up to this meeting, are you going to be asked back, or are you not?
Right. And I think that there's a difference between having a perspective like, oh, I belong in that room, and with still not being prepared, and also just believing that you can add value to the room. Right. Even if you're not prepared enough, or you don't have this certain skill set, I think that there's a big difference with that, because there are certain rooms that I may not be prepared enough to be in that particular room, but having the belief of knowing that I bring a lot of value to the table, that even though I can probably go in that room and not understand the topic at hand, or based off of the culture or the tone of that room, I still bring enough value and just genuineness, right? I bring enough authentic and genuine value to the table to still be able to go into the room, be who I am, and not compromise the integrity of who I am, and still make those connections, right? And so I think people want to be in those rooms. Either they don't know how to get in there, or when they're in there, like you mentioned, they're not prepared. And so the preparation comes from that self, developing yourself, so that you're always ready, regardless of what door opens, for you to be able to have the opportunity to step into that room.
Yeah. Well, it's a mindset thing too.
100%.
It's like, oh, you may not have the information like that those people have, because there's a reason they have that information, because they were allowed to sit at tables that gave them that information. But if simply coming to the table with a mindset of gold, as I call it, will allow you to be there, because then people they'll want to teach you the knowledge to stand on the same type of knowledge that they have.
Right. I can teach you the skill set. I can't teach you the mindset.
Exactly. I can teach you the knowledge, but I can't teach an attitude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's a shirt.
Yeah, I gotta write that down.
That's a shirt. Baby. Where's my phone at?
Nah,
Shit, you job. I be forgetting stuff.
nah, but that's real talk though, and you know, I keep talking about seasons of my life, and the rooms that you are in are just as important. And I kind of already mentioned this, but just as important as you writing down and write. And so when we talk about writing specific goals down, something to add to that is what rooms or what circle of people do I need to surround myself with so that I can actually make a name for myself, so that I can, you know, make sure my face is being seen, but I'm adding the value to the level that I am at. And then once you know what the room is about, you can begin preparing even with that, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Well, and it's also like I think you touched on a good point earlier too, is having the confidence to stay true to yourself when you get into certain rooms.
Yeah. Which is hard for a lot of people.
And I think that in itself is what can eliminate opportunities for people, because I can't tell you how many people I've seen allowed into a room that they wanted to be in, and they were allowed in the room because of who they were.
Right.
But then once they got there, they wanted to conform to the room. And unfortunately, that's actually seen as a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
You know, I think that conforming to a higher, to like this higher echelon, it's not always seen as a power thing. Like, oh, you get to be a part of the club. Well, also understand that a lot of times those people are puppets.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you get in that room.
Sometimes you get in that room and you become a puppet.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this dude can be manipulated, or you know, this, that, and the third. And so, and in that sense, some people don't even want to be the puppeteer. They're like, oh, this dude's a puppet. We don't even need him here, because that's not the type of people we want here with that type of mindset. We want people who speak their mind or say how they feel, and because that's what we need. We need genuineness.
So let me ask you this: when it comes to, you've been in a lot of rooms, a lot of different rooms,
lots of rooms, big rooms, small rooms, yellow rooms, blue rooms.
What are some things that you've taken away from going into the rooms that aligned up with your goals, aligned up with your values, but helped you kind of elevate to that next level?
Being honest about the room. I've been invited to like a lot of different. I'm just gonna stop saying rooms, but there's a lot of rooms.
I know, right?
I've been invited to a lot of different group circles, other things like that, and some of them I've been really excited about because I was like, oh, cool, like this could be great. But then after a few meetings or after a few interactions, I realized this is not the move. Or maybe, hey, I'm willing to do this same concept minus one or two people. Yeah. And I understand that sometimes that can also put you in a position where you just don't be involved at all. Because in some instance, some people will be like, well, we're not doing it unless all these people are involved. Right. Then I'm going to have to exit. Yeah. Because I'm not going to ask you guys to like throw anybody else to the side just for me. But I don't want to work with this person. Right. Or this person doesn't really align with what I'm trying to do, or maybe we just don't jive. Right. I've been put in a lot of situations where, like, because of my energy and because of, my thought process, people are like, oh, you and this person would work great together. Yeah. And we don't. Right. Because although that person is energetic or that person is this, they also like aren't as open-minded as I would like them to be, or maybe they just don't carry their weight. So it's this and the third, but I think at the end of the day, it's like no one room is the room, in my opinion. Yeah. I think it takes a few different groups, rooms, and there has to be like a steady balance. But the biggest balance realistically is knowing and being honest with yourself on the evolution of them too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, just like seasons, groups and other things, they have their seasons as well. And that's okay. I think too many times humans get sentimental, or they hold on to stuff just to hold on to it, and it actually becomes more damaging for everybody.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I mean,
So what about you? You've obviously been a part of a lot of rooms as well.
I've been in a couple.
Couple groups.
I'm in
rooms,
a couple.
couple things. So what? But I think one thing that you've said previous though is that the last 2 years probably of your life has been like the most like growth. I don't know if it's growth or I don't know the right word to use.
Probably intentional growth.
Yeah. Okay.
So for context, so 2 years ago I was active duty military, and so a big portion of my adult life was spent wearing a uniform.
Yeah.
And so while there were different rooms that different groups that I was associated with, even kind of in that career. When I talk about the intentional growth, is because now, like, I had developed because I was so successful in the military.
Yeah.
There were certain areas where I got comfortable. Like, I knew, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I don't mind. I can go talk to 10,000 people. You know. It was almost like when I put on the uniform, I had it was like my Superman cape.
Yeah.
And so now, as an adult, not having that uniform and stepping into certain rooms, I had to be more intentional about what areas I wanted to grow in, because it involved business, because it involved, supporting the family and different things like that. So for me, that intentional growth was extremely important. So going into the rooms of having an intention with, connecting with people. What I was about to say before you asked that question that kind of ties into it was, I've often heard successful people say that, again, it's not just about getting in a room, but what value can you get from the room, as far as like whether it's, connecting with someone that you probably wouldn't have never connected with. And so I've been making it more of an intention to do that. Like, generally, while I am extroverted, when I go in rooms, most times I just kind of like to sit and observe. Right? But I've also learned that I can still be me and be in that element, but still genuinely connect with people, right? And so before going into the meeting, what is the reason why, or asking myself, number one, why are you going into this room?
Yeah.
Right? Does it add value to you? Do you add value to it? And I always kind of go into situations like that. I want to make sure that I'm always providing some value.
Yeah.
And then same thing, because again, as we talk about, the one thing you can't get back is time, right?
Facts.
And so because my hands are involved in so many different projects, I want to make sure that I'm being intentional with that. And then, it's essentially helping me to grow, tying into that intentional growth. So I think I answered your question, but
Somewhat.
yeah, I like to run around it a little bit.
So I think, so one of the other, skill that I think is important if you go into any room, and it ties into kind of what you were saying as far as like bringing value to the room.
Yeah.
One of the things I have noticed that is a true like value add no matter what is being able to actively listen.
Yeah.
And like translate what people are thinking, because so toot my own horn, I'm good at that. So when people tell me things, when people tell me things, for the most part, there's nothing that's 100%, but I'm usually pretty good at like digesting and then okay, here's our forward action.
Yeah.
Intake, listen, digest. Is this what you were thinking? Okay, cool. Move forward.
Yep.
And that has afforded me a lot of opportunities to be in certain rooms because people know that about me. So they want to bring me on because they're like, oh, Cam. I mean, you said it. Like, Cam's organized. Like he can listen to what we want to do and then create a plan of action so we can do it. And that goes down kind of that mindset thing too. I wasn't always the best active listener.
Right.
I got a lot better at it over
Intentional
the years.
growth.
Intentional growth. And that's what coaching did for me. Because that's a huge part of coaching. Like, shut up and just listen. Yeah. And so I try but what's funny about that is now I operate kind of like you do as far as, I'm extroverted, but when I used to be in groups, I used to be a lot more talkative. now I do observe a little bit more now and like kind of listen and like feel the vibe and like see what's going on. And that's also been in turn an intentional growth thing, because as some people would be like, well, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know, when you're overly active, the growth comes when you can like chill out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. I was reminded, you know, again, your kids remind you of, will remind you of a lot of things. I was reminded, like you talk about active listening, and I was reminded that how important it is to just shut up and listen.
Oh yeah.
And how much you can learn if you just
Yep.
listen, whether
yeah.
you're in different groups, but like and that's one of the reasons why I like to sit and observe, because you learn so much by just being quiet.
For sure.
You know, but what I have to practice more on is having that same philosophy in my home with the kids, man. But yeah, when you said that, it made me thinking about that. Just as it's just as important to shut up and listen as much as it is for you to speak.
Yeah.
Right. So
For sure. So as we wrap up, it's Memorial Day coming up. It will have just passed when this episode airs. That's why I kept my shirt. I was gonna change my shirt, but I decided to keep it.
Yeah.
#America.
Yeah, America.
You know, I know you being retired, there's for the military at least, like every day is a 4-day weekend for you.
Yeah, especially when you get to make your own schedule.
Yeah, exactly. So when you talk intentionality, you know, because you said the last 2 years have been like more intentional. Is it because like when we're in the military, like it's still like associated with all the same stuff, but like now you're branching out to like activities that may have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah.
And that's where like kind of that intent, like, okay, like I'll add this to my plate, or I'll add this, and this is what I'm hoping to gain or hoping to add to this organization. But it has nothing to value add or do with this organization that I'm also doing stuff with.
So I feel like, so as you know, I love the military.
Yeah.
And I've loved my career. I will say, I feel like the reason why that is because with the military, I feel like there was a box.
For sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Bunch of tools, bunch of different things in the box so I can get creative, but I had to stay within that box.
For sure.
And so now, you know, being retired from the military, I no longer, there's no box. If there's material there to where I can create the box if I want it to be a box, but like I have those same tool sets that was inside the box, but I also have, there's no box.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that that helps a lot. Knowing that, man, over the years, I've learned how to use these tools, how to master this, how to use this skill set for X, Y, and Z. Now, kind of the same level, but now I could use it and connect with the people or collaborate with people who understands how those pieces of things work, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that's the difference: the box and not having the box at all.
Yeah. Do you ever miss the box?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost every day.
I think that's something that people underestimate.
100%.
When they leave that when they leave, I mean, you know, you hear about it when it like prison, institutionalization. I use that word all the time for anything where you're kind of like in this arena for so long. It's like you get institutionalized where like you almost miss the box.
Especially if you really care about how you were leading the people.
Yeah.
That's I don't miss a lot from it, but
like, I don't miss the organization.
Being able to see the growth of a young airman that just graduated from basic training to them turning into this young man or woman.
Yeah.
And, you know, things are starting to click for them. Like just seeing that transformation, or they may just spend 4 years in, get out, but then they reach back and be like, oh, because of something you said when I was 2 years in or whatever the case is. Like I miss that part of it.
That makes sense. So. All right. Well, on that note, we appreciate you guys for joining us. You know, hit the like button if you made it all the way to the end with us. Hit the subscribe button, please. You know, like, love, share. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Other than that, we hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you guys have a great week. And we will see you guys later.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
so precious and it's so delicate.
Love. Without love, you don't have either of the other two.
The leadership stance that you take in your life, though, I think is directly correlated to the amount of love you have in your life.